Good morning, and thank you for joining me today. This presentation is Basics of Fair Housing Discrimination and CHIP funding for Hinckley residents. We have this presentation today specifically for residents of Hinckley because part of our federal mandate for our grant funding is to provide fair housing training in the areas where we are doing projects. So one of the projects we did this past year into a little bit this year was the Hinckley Historic Society. We redid their entrance to provide better ADA accessibility to that building. My name is Sonia Pagnano. I'm the Associate Planner for the Medina County Planning and Fair Housing Office, and I really appreciate you joining me today. So today's agenda, we will be covering the Fair Housing Act, fair housing discrimination, fair housing process, CHIP funding, and then we'll have a Q&A portion if you have any questions at the end. So what is the Fair Housing Act? The Fair Housing Act protects people from discrimination when they are renting or buying a home, getting a mortgage, seeking housing assistance, or engaging in other housing-related activities. People that are protected by the Fair Housing Act are protected by their race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, and disability. There might be other local protections that would further cover more demographics as well. So if you are interested in learning about that, you should contact either your county or your local municipality, so like your township. Types of housing that are covered under this act include most housing, but in very limited circumstances, the act exempts owner-occupied buildings with no more than 4 units, single-family houses sold or rented by the owner without the use of an agent, and housing operated by religious organizations and private clubs that limit occupancy to members. So what is fair housing discrimination? Fair housing discrimination means it is illegal to take any of the following actions because of race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, or national origin. So you can't refuse to rent or sell housing, refuse to negotiate for housing, otherwise make housing unavailable, set different terms, conditions, or privileges for sale or rental of a dwelling, provide a person different housing services or facilities, falsely deny that housing is available for inspection, sale, or rental, make, print, or publish any notice, statement, or advertisement with respect to the sale or rental of a dwelling that indicates any preference, limitation, or discrimination, evict a tenant or a tenant's guest, harass a person, fail or delay performance of maintenance or repairs, limit privileges, services, or facilities of a dwelling, refuse to provide or discriminate in terms of conditions of homeowners insurance because of the race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, or national origin of the owner and or occupants of a dwelling. And there are many more cases that have come up in the past where people took illegal actions because of a person's race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, or national origin. So a little bit about the fair housing process. If an individual feels that they've been discriminated against for any of the things that I just listed, they can call our office. The number is listed here. It's 330-722-9219. We also have a fair housing email where if an individual wants, they can explain their situation and we can correspond with them that way. That is mcfairhousing@medinaco.org. Or they can come into our office. At this time, due to COVID, we do have more limited office hours and you do need to call ahead for entry into our building. It's so that we can limit the amount of exposure our staff have with the public. and the individual should ask to speak with our fair housing coordinator. Her name is Cheryl Hinckley, and she can talk to the individual about the complaint. She evaluates it and offers intake paperwork, which can be completed in person or emailed or mailed to be completed at home. Our fair housing coordinator always offers the paperwork, but many times individuals decide then not to complete it because it would make them from maybe being an anonymous complainant to we have to let the person know who the complaint is about so that we can evaluate the situation further. And sometimes people are just a little uncomfortable with that. But like if an individual does complete this paperwork and they submit it back to our fair housing coordinator, it begins the investigation process. And basically what the fair housing coordinator does is she contacts the individual with whom the complaint is made and tries to get their perspective on the situation. And if red flags come up from what that individual said, or maybe they talk to like another person that lives in that same area who has had a similar experience, then we work directly with our own legal counsel and try to mitigate the situation or file a formal legal complaint against either like a landlord or whoever the person was that violated that person's rights. If an individual is not comfortable with submitting the complaint through our office, complaints can also be filed or forwarded directly to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD, or the Ohio Civil Rights Commission, often termed OCRC, for further investigation and determination. So the Medina County Fair Housing Office, our mission is to prevent and eliminate housing discrimination and promote equal housing opportunity for Medina County. We address issues of housing discrimination, and we also do assist with tenant-landlord concerns. But many times, any concerns we get tend to be legal issues. And if individuals cannot afford representation, we forward them over to community legal aid. So maybe they can get free or reduced cost legal help. So now I'll move on to CHIP. This is the Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program. It is funding that is also available through HUD. The purpose of this program is to rehabilitate a one-family housing unit, which are owned and occupied by low and moderate income households. Eligible items for this program include installation and or repairs to foundations, roofs, gutters, electrical upgrades, plumbing, furnaces, hot water heaters, insulation, windows, doors, accessibility improvements, and lead-based paint abatement. This program provides deferred loans in an amount up to but not exceeding $35,000 to low-income homeowners for the purpose of eliminating the existing substandard housing conditions. If applicants are eligible, they do have to agree to occupy the home for at least 5 years after the rehabilitation is completed. They have to agree to reimburse the program 15% of the total grant when the home is sold or vacated after 5 years, and reimburse the program on a sliding scale up to the total amount of the grant if the home is sold or vacated before the 5-year anniversary. The applicant must also be willing and able to allow the administrating agency to retain a mortgage on the property and be willing and able to reimburse the program as agreed if the home is sold or transferred as part of the current owner's estate. So a little bit about the income guidelines. Household income is determined by the total gross income for the previous year reported on federal tax forms by all household members 18 years of age or older living in the home. Applicable forms include IRS 1040, W-2s, Social Security, 1099, and others. Proof of current income must also be provided to ensure eligibility at the time of application and to determine an income projection for the next 12 months. So if you're a one-person household and your income is 30,150 or less, you would qualify for this. If you're a three-person household and your income is 38,750 or less, then you would qualify for this program as well. And so I have all the other number of households listed here along with the income max that would apply. With everything going on with COVID, we do assume that in the next year, more individuals would be eligible. So it's just something to think about if you do know individuals that maybe could use help, that they are given that help. Someone asked if the income decreased from previous years, and yes, I do think it did. Not by a lot, I think only by a couple thousand, and it's got potential to decrease again. HUD is always changing. The federal government is always coming out with new things they're doing, new reasons for why they're doing them, and with the new census coming out, we are concerned that they might decrease it again. And we do completely agree that the income limits make it nearly impossible for people to qualify. It really narrows it down to a very select group of people, which honestly in Medina County, there aren't a lot of this level of low income individuals. And it doesn't account for individuals that maybe they do make more money than this, but they have a lot of debt. And so it's nearly impossible for them to rehabilitate their homes themselves, because sometimes that takes a lot of money depending on your project that you need done. So any applicants that are interested in participating in the owner rehabilitation program need to complete an application and call to schedule an appointment to submit their completed application. At that time, all the necessary documents will be verified to determine eligibility for the program. The office right now that's helping as a consultant for this, they're pretty good about working with applicants to make sure that their documents are completed appropriately. I know other communities, if even one thing's wrong, like they'll just completely reject you and will deny your application. So it's really important to maybe call ahead, make sure you have all the information you need to make sure that your documents are filled out correctly. And so if you want more information about the program, you can call 330-410-6581. They are located in the same building as our office, but they're on the third floor. And eligible communities for CHIP funding are City of Wadsworth, City of Medina, and Medina County residents. So the cities themselves have their own CHIP funding, and then the county as a whole also has this funding available. And then if there's any questions now, please feel free to ask. We don't get a lot of fair housing calls from Hinckley, like ever. We usually get them from Medina, Brunswick, and Wadsworth. What are you doing? All right, if there's no questions, I will end this meeting. Thank you so much for participating today. I hope you all got something out of this presentation, and I look forward to having more like these in the future.